Cool. For those of you that don't know myself, my name is Peter Shonnon. I'm one of the partners here at Canars. I'm going to take you through for the next hour on a bit of an introduction to Xero. More based around sort of the basics around Xero. For those of you who haven't seen Xero, it'll give you a good understanding of what Xero is all about. For those that use it, it'll also give you quite a few handy hints and tips to help you out through your everyday Xero life. And what can happen if certain things, if we do a few things, it can save you a lot of time from there. So we've also got Brent Giles, who most of you probably know. He's going to hang around for a bit. Helen Warnock, one of the partners, is on the line here as well. And then we've also got Sarah, one of our Xero girls that you probably talk to a fair bit as well. And there might be another couple of people that pop in here and there also. So if you've got any questions at all, I want it to be as interactive as possible. So either yell out, or there's a little chat box at the bottom. If you can put it in the chat box, and then I'll answer it to you as you go. If you've got a Xero account, I would recommend that you have it going at the same time as listening to this webinar, and that way you should be able to, if you can split screen it, you can go through your own Xero file and understand what I'm talking about as well. So there's a couple of little things that might help you out from the get-go also. This is the first of 3 webinars we're holding every fortnight. Just so this is introduction to Xero. We're going to go through HubDoc in 2 weeks' time, which is a receipt, expense, and document management system, which is now free for everybody on Xero. And the third installment is advanced Xero for user tips, which is more for the everyday bookkeeper, business owner that uses Xero a hell of a lot from there, and how we can streamline their efficiencies. We've also got a webinar coming up next week for financial markets, which Brent and someone that Brent deals with is doing that as well. So I'm just going to share my screen to start with. I'll share screen 2. Can everybody see my demo Xero account?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So for those of you who haven't seen Xero before, this is the main login screen. So essentially, we'll log into Xero. Now, Xero is a web-based internet program. So you go onto Xero.com. It's on Google essentially, and you hit the login screen, and you have your own unique username and password. Now, Xero files, or your Xero file, can have as many users as you want. So if you come from a Maya background or another computer program background where they're limited to the amount of users, because it's an internet-based program, you can have unlimited users on your Xero file. You can also use an iPad, which is really quite cool. And then they also have Xero apps for your phone as well from there. But the idea and the advantage of this essentially is that what you're looking at on your screen is exactly what I can look at on my screen, being the accountant, or what another employee or another member of your organization can look at. Because it's all internet based, it's one file for everybody. So it's what's called the single ledger concept. We don't have to worry about sending files backwards and forwards or anything like that. It's a matter of purely just having one file for everybody. I might just give me 2 seconds. I'll just stop my share and I'll mute all. Yeah, cool. Okay, so when you log into Xero, the big difference you'll find from most of the programs, or if you're already using Xero, is the bank feeds. Okay, so what Xero have invested a lot of time and a lot of money into is being able to hook up your accounting file, being your Xero file, with your bank. And so it essentially pulls the information from your bank, just data only, so you can't pay bills out of Xero or you can't spend money out of Xero, but it pulls the information from your bank, being the date that you received or made a payment, your invoice amount, and also your description, and it plugs that directly into your Xero file. So every morning when you come in, it will tell you how many bank account transactions that you'll be required to reconcile to keep your file up to date. So that's where we get to the reconcile number here. So I'm using a demo company today, so there is some restrictions on it, but it just ensures that everybody's, there's no file privacy issues with me using anybody else's file or anything like that. But on a demo company, it's pulling through 29 transaction items, and it gets pulled through every night. So it's roughly about 2 to 3 a.m. that Xero will update with that day's transactions. Or for Friday transactions, they're updated on a Monday. So it's not instantaneous whereby you go over the road and you buy 10 bucks worth of goodies at Coles and it automatically logs onto your Xero program. It comes up in your internet banking, but Xero does a dump of it every day. Okay, it's still a lot better than the old accounting programs where you had to physically manually enter it in. However, yeah, there is a limitation to it being every day, which we don't seem to have any problems with at all from there. On your main screen also, this is what's known as the dashboard. We're able to modify the dashboard, and we're able to pick and choose where we want things and how we want to see our Xero every day. So you have your bank accounts. You also have what's called an accounts watch list. So this is the demo, so it just gives us details of our month and our year-to-date sales, how much we owe, what our office expenses are for the month and year-to-date, and what inventory we're carrying. And we can modify this to be whatever we want it to be. But if you want to pick on just 4 or 5 items in your business and how you're going, we suggest that you modify the account watch list. Also, if you use the invoicing system and the payable system, on the front screen, we're able to directly go to see how much invoices are owed to us and how much are owing to us as well, and how much we owe. There's different stages, so there's a waiting payment overdue for both invoices owed and invoices that you need to pay also. So it does give you a very good snapshot in this dashboard of what your business is looking like at the moment. If you want to know how to change these account watch list items, we just go into accounting, chart of accounts, and we can choose another item which we wish to add to our dashboard. So in this case, I want to say how much are my purchases for the month. So I click on purchases and I go here and I go show on dashboard watch list. Hit save. Alternatively, if I want to take off my inventory, I just click inventory here and I take it off my Xero dashboard watch list. If I go and click dashboard again, you'll notice that my purchases are now here and there's no inventory because there were $0 amounts in there. Okay. These lines here show your bank account balances over the period of a month. So obviously this one is in blue for a bit, which means positive, and then it goes into red, and then it goes into very red. So demo company's not doing too flash at the moment. Be careful with this because if you have unreconciled items, it doesn't accurately reflect what your bank account balance actually is until you have a green tick here and all items have been reconciled. That way your statement balance equals your balance in Xero. So you'll notice as we do a few transactions that essentially these will change until, and we're not going to get to this today, until all of them are cleared. So from a business point of view, the main business time saving, or the time saving that we're seeing amongst clients with Xero, is purely around how we enter our transactions in Xero compared to how we would do it in MyOp, Reckon, QuickBooks, etc. So if we go to our reconcile, our 29 items, and you'll notice here already on the left-hand side are the bank statement lines in which they've come from our bank account and imported into Xero. So the demo company's had a payment from Ridgeway University, it's got a payment out, and then it's also got a few other payments to the bakery, Smart Agency, etc., etc. You'll notice on here that there's some green ones already. So what that's done is Xero has automatically recognized that we've put in a sales invoice to Ridgeway University, It's recognised that the payment has happened here on the 14th of May, and we just click OK, and that transaction is done. So what would have been in another program where you would enter the transaction in manually and then apply it against the sales invoice, Xero have this concept where it all integrates in together, and it's just a one-touch process of approving the payment of that amount, and that one's essentially done. And the payment's the same for Truxton Property Management. So we have an invoice that we have to pay for 1181.25. Xero has recognised that we've paid the amount. We hit OK, and it's done. Xero can also recognise based off what it thinks it's going to be. So there's what's called AI, or artificial intelligence. I mean, some people think, oh, it's a bit of a computer nerdy terminology, but they use it a fair bit in accounting programs these days. So what the Xero has recognised down here with our NAB and our bank fee, it's saying, well, it thinks it's a bank fee because it says bank fee, so it's recognised it here. It says why, bank fee, and then it's come up with who, and it's got the bank, but we can always change that to the NAB. And effectively, if we hit OK on that, the transaction's done also. So it's a different way of thinking compared to having to enter in lines from a bank statement, because essentially this is all done for you in the background by Xero. The other great thing about Xero is that you can do bank rules. Now, bank rules essentially mean that if you're a creature of habit and you spend money at the same place every day, for example, me at Coles, or Brent at his coffee place, we can tell Xero that, hey, guess what? If we go to Cooper Street Bakery every day, then this amount needs to go to this certain account. So it's what we call creating a bank rule, okay? And from then onwards, every time you go to that shop and spend that money, Xero will send it to that account. It's really quite handy. So to do that, we just go to Options and Create Bank Rule. What we can then do is we can say that the payee equals Cooper Street Bakery, the description equals your electronic funds transfer, because that's what's come through. But we could say, well, don't worry about that. As long as the description contains Cooper Street Bakery, the contact is set at Cooper Street Bakery. The remainder, we allocate that to, well, we can call it anything. We can call it purchases, GST on the expenses, and then we create our rule, Cooper Street Bakery. Okay. So effectively what we're doing is we're automating the process that we would usually do our books. Instead of having to, every time you see it on your bank statement, enter it in, Xero will automatically recognize it now by saving this bank rule, Cooper Street Bakery, the 1575.
This guy cracked the sheets.
For 1575, and then essentially we apply the rule and we hit OK. And that's done from there. We also have the rule applied here for 7-Eleven. So 7-Eleven for $15.50, it's already done for us from there. So essentially we've written the bank rule in before and we're able to just click OK. So what we're able to do with Xero is pretty much do a few days worth of bookkeeping in a very short space of time, just by going through your bank coding, okay? If you don't know what it is, for example, up here, I've said, well, it's City Limousines paid us $100. I don't know what to do with it. What we can do, essentially, is put that in the Discuss tab and leave it for a later date and hit Save. What you can then do is you can talk to your accountants about it, and they can see it up on the screen here, or you can leave it for somebody else in the organisation to have a look at to say, guess what? Pete's put a note here to say he wasn't quite sure what it was for, and then we're able to look at it from there. Just one other thing with, where you can also do bank transfers as well. Okay, so I'll just pick on and then I'll answer Cameron's question as well. So, for example, if $1,500 came through from a bank transaction, a bank transfer, I beg your pardon, which is transferring it from one bank account to the other, rather than entering it in twice in each bank account, we can simply hit the transfer button here, select the account, and click OK. That makes it nice and easy to deal with bank transfers as well. So from a day-to-day point of view and dealing with your business transactions, Xero is pretty much all about the bank reconciliation screen, okay? And it's all about bringing these amounts that you need to reconcile down to Xero to keep your books up to date. That essentially is all of your bank reconciliation process done. So what would have taken quite a long time previously with entering it in, checking it off statements, is a matter of making sure that whatever the bank tells you, you match it off and you tell Xero. And we can just keep clicking. So it's done on the premise of who, what, and why. So for example, central city parking, we can say why. We might say motor vehicle expenses. We can hit GST on expenses. And that's the transaction coded. So it's pretty handy once you have the bank feed set up, which is what we do for you here at Canars. And it takes away all that sort of manual data entering, like dollars, getting the dollar amounts right, entering in the details from the bank statement, etc. It also, what we've noticed is a lot of clients previously wouldn't have put the full amount of detail in from the bank statement. Essentially, they wouldn't have typed in what the bank statement said. So by being in Xero, it allows us to have a lot more transaction data straight from the bank also. Cameron Geddes has said, when is the best time to add an invoice to the transaction? I'll get to that in a second. So essentially what you can do, this is a matter of coding what's happened in the bank. So if you're running a business, for example, you are sending out an invoice to clients, then you would do that previous to this. So by doing that, you would go into business invoices and you would go new invoice, and you would essentially send out an invoice to a client. So what I will do is I will pick on one which is already in here so I can show you the full process. $2,000 to Jacaranda Maple Systems. So what we would do essentially is we would type to Jacaranda Maple Systems. Date, we'll say for example, this invoice is on the 30th of the 4th, 20. Due date, now we can make that automatically set to a later date. So we can set that to the 31st of the 20 in our invoice settings. Amounts are tax inclusive, and we can say we sold a new part. Quantity 1, unit price 2,000, and we hit approve on this. Now, once we've done the invoice, what happens is if we go back to our dashboard, you'll notice that Xero has recognized Jacaranda Maple Systems, the invoice. So when it comes time for the 15th of May and it downloads the bank transaction, it's already there. It recognizes that, yep, $2,000, $2,000. Click OK, and then the payment is essentially being recognized as being paid. So it's no longer on your debtor's ledger, or it's no longer showing as outstanding. Does that make sense, guys? Yep. So it's really quite handy because Xero, once you do the invoice and you're paid, Xero is effectively telling you or suggesting to you that, yes, this is what it is. What you can also do, if there are multiple payments, one payment for multiple invoices, we can go to the match transaction screen and we can select multiple transactions that happen. So which is really quite cool. I'll just choose those 3 transactions and we can get them to match up. If I do a part payment. So effectively, if you went down to the ANZ Bank with 3 checks, or if you had some cash payments or some FPOS payments, if you're in that sort of space with your business, you're able to select certain invoices that have been paid off and then reconcile, and it will automatically reconcile those invoices from there. So we don't need to go into the invoice and mark it as paid, and then we don't need to go and type in the bank transaction. It all happens in this transaction screen. Okay. And it's the same thing as bills to pay. So we can enter in our bills exactly the same way. So with bills, we can go to a new bill from, I'll pick on from Brent Giles, if he's in here still. So for example, Brent sent me an invoice on the 30th of the 4th, 20 for $411. And it was due on the 31st of the 5th, 20, $411. I'll just get the right amount. 35. And it was for mowing my yard. It's expensive. We can allocate that to an account code. So with your account codes, how you allocate your account codes is very much similar to how you would have done it in another accounting program. So with Xero, you can either search by numbers if you remember your account numbers, or you can search by name. So I want to get to cleaning. To do that, we can just start typing it in, and it automatically recognizes it once you type in a couple of letters. It automatically pulls through the default GST, so GST and expenses, and then from there, I can either choose tax inclusive or tax exclusive, so this time it's tax inclusive. I can hit approve. Once this comes through, my bill has been approved. I can hit my dashboard. I can go into my bank transaction. And you'll notice here the Xero has automatically recognized, there's one from Gateway Motors. There's another possible match, which is Brent. And then I can reconcile that amount from there as well. The other thing that you can do with Xero, which is really quite cool, is if you have husbands or wives, I might pick on husbands because I'm probably in that category of my wife at the moment sometimes, receipts. Not everybody is that great with keeping receipts, okay? Am I probably being fair with a lot of busy workers and things like that? But what Xero can allow you to do is if you're out and about, you can use the Xero app, which is on my phone, which I just need to find amongst Facebook and all that other stuff. So you can use the Xero app on your phone. If you're out and about at the coffee shop, which not picking on Dingles, but I went to Dingles because it's now open. What I can do essentially is I can take a photo of this receipt. So if you can imagine, if you're out and about and you received your receipt and you throw it in the glove box of the car like the farmer does, or you throw it in the briefcase like the businessman does, instead of doing that, you're able to take a photo. And I'll do this live to show you how quick and easy it is. But you can take a photo like this. Use the photo. Type in a couple of details. So what was it for? I can say it was for food. I went to Dingles. And I'll show you guys how we can deal with receipts very easily. How did you pay? Went to the bank account. It was for entertainment, and it was for $92. I click done, and I click add. What we can do then is very easily go down to screen number 2, F5 to refresh. You'll notice that on my bank statement here, Dingles has come up for 20th of May 20 for $92. And Xero has automatically recognized a transaction for $92 from Dingles. So if you can imagine, if you were out one day, i.e. today, you're at Coles, you had a receipt, it went through in your bank statement. If you took a photo of it, put through the details, then come tomorrow morning when it comes up on Xero, it's automatically there and it's automatically done. You've automatically told it what it is on the run. You've told it that, hey, it was at Coles, it was staff amenities. Once it hits the bank account, $92, we can go through and we can click OK. What that also has done is, if I can go and show you through here, if I hit search on this, the Dingles is at the top here. So if I click on Dingles, it will actually show you the receipt that I just uploaded a minute ago as well. Now, probably don't do it in front of a keyboard, maybe have it a bit more nicely lined up than that. But essentially, that's all live data from there. So it's pretty much instantaneous that you should be able to tell once you've taken receipt. If you can imagine at the fuel station, or if you're out traveling like I am next week out west, take a photo on the spot, load it into the program, and everything's done for you from there. So it's really sort of accounting on the go. If you're an accounting nerd like I am, that's pretty exciting. So that's the nice and easy way of loading a receipt into Xero, and it's just through the Xero app. So we're able to do a few more things in the Xero app. For example, if we go into here and we go to invoices, I can actually create a new invoice, and you mightn't be able to see it, but on my app here, you can create an invoice from the app. So I had an air conditioning guy over here the other day. You'll notice that it won't be on this amount here, but if I say invoice to, I went to, and I'll pick on my friend Brent again, who's in here, and it was dated today. I'll be very quick just because I know you can't see much. Dated today, due today, and it was for $100. Enter a description, mowing. I mowed his house, GST on sales, and it was $100. I click done. One, done, save, send. So I've just done that on my phone, matter of 20 seconds. It will actually send Brent an email. Hi Brent Giles, here's an invoice, such and such. So you can do that. So essentially from your phone, you can invoice somebody, send the invoice to them, and then they can make payment from it. But the other thing that happens is it can come up in here very quickly. As you can see, I've hit refresh. Brent, I've sent him an invoice for $110. It's now waiting payment. So for those that are technologically minded, what you can then do from there is there's a program called Square. You can buy it from Officeworks. It's like $50. It's a little FPOS chip reader that you see at those music festivals and down the riverbank and the food vans and things like that. So what you can then do is you can then have your client pay via FPOS with your mobile phone, and your accounting work is all done for you. All you need to do tomorrow then is essentially go in and click OK, and that's it, done. So what we are encouraging a lot of clients to do is really have a look, if you are mobile phone, I guess, confident, or if you don't mind using the phone, is use the phone or your iPad a lot more for your accounting work while you're on the go and while you're actually doing it. And that's going to save a lot more time from being in the office, okay? I know it might be harder for the farmer husband or the medical professional to do that on the run, but once you get into a good habit, and we're finding that with us at Canars here, we're sending documents through HubDoc to our accounts lady and things like that. I was probably the worst before the list came on for keeping receipts, but now it's just a matter of taking a photo and sending it through to her, and it seems to be a lot easier. I might just pause there. Does anybody have any questions about invoices? Oh, the other great thing about this is we can send statements from here. So if we send a statement,
girls, high girls are getting, we're supposed to get together this.
If we send a statement, we can then from here email this through to all of our clients at the end of the month. You're able to check it. Obviously, first check you've got the right email address, check the amounts, outstanding balances, and everything like that are okay. But once you've done that, you can effectively send your clients a statement via email very easily. What some clients are doing is selectively sending statements when they want to, and you can easily do that. And you can also just print. So what you can do for Sea Limousines is you can print out a statement. It comes up effectively like that. It will have transactions through it as well, and you can flick that off or print it out with your printer. So it does come up nice and pretty as well. Another great thing I like about this is that it has the ability to do quotes and turn quotes, and you can effectively have a quote management system if you're a very basic client. If you're a larger shop, for example, I'd recommend you use an add-on. For example, if you're in the construction industry, something like a SimPro or something like that. But if you're a small business and you're doing a few quotes a day or a couple of quotes a week, you can use the Xero quotes. You can do that through your phone as well, or you can do it through here. Once you've done a quote, I'll quickly do one up. So for example, say I'll pick on Sarah today this time. I don't know why I've got mowing in my head, maybe because my grass needs to get mowed at home. But I'll quote her for lawn mowing as well. And hers is $100. The account will be sales, GST, and then I can send that quote to her. So I can send it via email. Hi, I can even put in her details so I can send it. And then I can also send myself a copy by clicking on the send me a copy button as well. That way you might want to keep it in your own individual files and things like that, but it stays in the Xero system. You can also customize your messaging with quotes. So you can send it different messages for different people or for different parts of your business. Send, and the quote's been sent and gone. It says down here it got sent to her via an email by me at this date. What I can then do, if I can go to options, if she comes back and says yes, thank you, mark it as being accepted, I can then create an invoice for her, mark it as invoiced, approve, and then that's done. Oops. Paid on the same date. Hopefully that works. Approved. And that's done. If she pays $110 today, then all I need to do tomorrow is when I do my bank reconciliation, is go there and click OK, and that transaction's all taken care of. The other thing I can do as well though with invoices is there's this little paperclip button down here where I've got my hand over at the moment. So I'm able to email it to her. I can print as a PDF. But if I wanted to attach something else to this invoice, just for my own reference. So for example, you might want to attach some photos of the job that you've completed. If you might have a file note or something like that, depending on what industry you're in, you might want to just upload files. So you can always upload a file from your library, which is here, or you can add a file from your Xero library also. Okay, what you can do then is you can send an email. Uploading files is easy because you can just get it from wherever it is on your computer, or you can send an email to it to essentially say upload it into Xero, and that will stay with the invoice from there as well. The other question that we get quite a fair bit is, can you do recurring invoices? So we've got clients that have, I guess, other businesses on a monthly package or a monthly plan, depending on, so you just click the down arrow button here and you can select a new repeating invoice. and you can customize whatever you want to do with this. So you can make the transaction every month, due date, who you're invoicing it to, etc., etc. But if you do have, like, for example, if you've got an entity that charges rent out to another entity, you can automate that whole process just by creating a repeat invoice, which is really quite good. Does anybody have any questions on invoices and payables before I get to the fun stuff, i.e. payroll? I'll just stop my share for 2 seconds. No? We're all good? Yep, Brent, we're all good? Yep. Okay, cool. So payroll. I think the Xero payroll package is, and I'm not being biased, but honestly, it's the best payroll package that is out there by none. I mean, there's a lot of other comparisons and everything else, but the Xero payroll package, the aim for it essentially is to make payroll go like that. I'm not quite sure if our accounts lady is on the call today, but she said that the payroll through Xero is so easy compared to what it was with, and we were on Reckon accounts hosted, I think, here at work. Essentially, what most of it comes down to is setting up your employees properly, and you'll laugh at the names of this, of the demo company here, but what we're able to do through this employee sensor is effectively automate everything to do with payroll. So if I just go into James LeBron, it's essentially like most other payroll packages where you put in their details. You can upload a photo of them. You can go into, I'll just take a drink of water. You can do automatic superannuation through Xero payroll. And you can also do single touch payroll lodgements, which are very easy as well. But the biggest advantage with this is the pay template. So once you've sorted out their details, their start date, ordinary hours, taxes, so you can file the tax file declaration form, you know, the big carbon copy that you used to have to mail to the ATO. If you send it through like this, there's a file now button here. Hit the green button and that files it directly to the tax office. So this is effectively the tax file number declaration forms that we used to do in the not so old days. It calculates employees' leave. Just make sure it come up. Also here, it has its leave requests. So you're able to, for Xero users, employees are able to use an app on their phone and they're able to request leave. They're also able to have their pay slips on the Xero app as well. And they're also able to get them emailed them every fortnight also, or every week. And you've got the details of their leave here and also their leave balances as well, which is really quite cool. Bank accounts. So you're able to pay employees using ABA files. So once we've done the payroll, we can download the ABA file and we're able to set up 4 bank accounts in which they want their pay to go to. So we always have some people who have a sneaky side account with a few dollars going in there as well. Pay slips. So the pay slip module is really quite good. So we're able to here, if an employee requests it, we're able to download their pay slip and get it up quite easily in a PDF format, which is very easy to do in comparison to other products as well. Pay template, this is where I wanted to spend a fair bit of my time on with payroll. If you get the pay template right, then the rest of payroll is a breeze, okay? So I'll show you what we can do here. So with LeBron, he has an annual salary of $40,000 in this instance, and he works 38 hours per week. $10 for union fees, and he has superannuation at 9.5%, plus he does a bit extra at $50 per week. I'll go down to my next employee. We can change it up. So for her, we might say, okay, the rate, we can have the rate always come in at $21 per hour and leave her hours at 0. So we just essentially enter in the rate whenever she works from there. So we're able to have different employees with different preferences from there. You can also have deductions. So we might have other post-tax deductions, and that might be $100. Superannuation at 9.5% now. Save and done. So I'll just do it for 2, and then we can go through the payroll payment process. So what Xero does, it allows you to go to pay employees. I'll just delete this draft run. We'll start again. Okay, so it has our history of all of our pay runs that we've done. So I've got a client who's been on Xero since 2009. When we first got Xero first came on the market, their pay runs are massive. So we can go through every pay run if we wanted to, quite big. What we can do is go add pay run, select a period. So we're going to go fortnightly. Oh, sorry, we're going to go weekly. Click next. Odette Garrison comes up here. At the moment, her net pay is $100 minus because we haven't put in the hours. So everything else in Xero is set up. So if you can imagine you're doing your weekly pay run for 2 people, and one of them is Odette, and she's worked 40 hours for the week at $21 an hour. Her deductions are $100. It automatically works out her tax and her super and her annual leave. We click save and next. And we come to the next lady, Tracy Green. So exactly the same thing. We plug in her hours, which are 40. Tab. Tax is calculated. And then we hit close, save and close. We post the pay run once we're happy with it. And then we're able to email the pay slips to the employees. We also file here, which is your single touch payroll filing. That process, you have to essentially link it to the ATO. So you'll have to, once off only for the first time, we ring up the ATO and get a linking code. Once that's happened, every other time it's a matter of hitting file and declaring and hitting OK. I can't do that on a demo company at the moment, unfortunately, but it's essentially a 2-button process from here to do your single touch payroll. What you can also do is download an ABA file, which is down the corner here, and you can upload that into your internet banking for payment. So for example, if you've got 35 employees, go through these steps, post, download your ABA file, upload it into your internet banking, file your STP, and then you're done. Payroll is a lot easier than what it used to be, that's for sure. And it's a matter of just making sure you automate what the deal is with them is. So essentially they're on an hourly rate, 20 hours a week at this, or they're on an annual salary, or we pay them the same amount every week. So all we need to do is effectively set it all up, check it, post, file for STP, and then do your ABA file. What we can also do from here, which we may not, I don't think we can do a demo company, but superannuation can be paid directly from Xero. And it's, how far is it going to let me go? No, requires a premium subscription. So effectively with superannuation payments through Xero, it goes through a clearinghouse, but the data is automatically pulled from the pay runs. So what we can do essentially is click on the employees to be paid, review it, and then we can link up the bank account to be direct debited from the Xero file, and the payment can be automatically taken from there. What that also allows us to do is make sure that we're SuperStream compliant, and Xero sends the payment to a clearinghouse, which then sends it straight to all the employees' superannuation funds. So it's all automated effectively from the pay run, which is really quite cool. whisk through payroll in about 15 minutes. Understand that's the bare bones to it. It's really quite easy. There's another part of here called timesheets. So instead of actually manually entering the hours in the pay run, we can have employees enter a timesheet. So you can do it on the app, or they can have a login to do it, and they can enter their timesheet hours in for the week. It can then be approved by an approver with rights. So what we can do is we can set up somebody to have approval rights for timesheets, and that will ensure that your timesheet hours are pre-populated into your pay run. So it does add another step of automation on top of the basic automation of just having to enter in the hours from there. It also has the leave module, which I was telling you about also. So they can come in here and apply for leave, and then they can approve it and go from there as well. The last step that I wanted to go through was reporting. So there's two stages to this. One is activity statements, which can now be lodged directly from Xero to the tax office, which is fantastic and is really quite simple. I can't do the whole process with a demo company, but I can show you, I can get to so far and then say this is the button that you click. The other part that I want to show you was the other reports that are available through Xero and how flexible the reporting is if you're into reports. Okay. So what we do is we go to accounting, reports. Now, one little tip with Xero, which is really quite cool, you might notice how I'm opening new tabs all the time, and that way I can flick between tabs, if you can notice that. And what I'm able to do, by holding the control button down on my computer and clicking on it, it opens a new tab. So it just lets me flick between tabs all the time. That can be really quite handy when you're referring to something, going backwards and forwards and keeping the reports open. So here I'm in the profit and loss, but I can always go back and flick to reports. So if I get back to reports, you'll notice there are these stars on the side of these reports. What this enables you to do is to make sure that you have some favorites on your accounting tab in Xero. So me being a bit of an accountant, I've got my profit and loss, balance sheet, age receivables, payables, activity statements, and account transactions on stars, but you can choose to unstar and star whatever you wish. So if I choose these three here, it will automatically come up with these three extra down the bottom here as well. So if there's some reports that you really like to use and you refer to a bit, make sure you star them. And that way you can easily refer to it from this page here rather than coming all the way into the reports tab. What we'll go through in week 3, we're able to do custom Xero reports here. And then we can also do draft and publish reports as well. So publish reports give you an archive of all your reports month by month if you save the report down also. So if we pick on the profit and loss report, actually we'll go to activity statement first. So go to, say we come to the end of the quarter and we want to do a BAS. So we can go to activity statement. We can select our activity statement settings. So we can do a simpler BAS, which most of us will be on. Quarterly, a cash accounting method. We'll select quarterly for the pay-as-you-go withholding method. Don't want to pay any income tax. We click save and continue. Select reporting period. I want to go to March 2020. Just close this down. And you'll notice here that Xero pre-populates your sales, which is G1. Xero will also pre-populate your W1 and W2. We didn't have any wages in that period, so that hasn't populated, but it will populate those. And then it also gives you your 1A and 1B amounts here, okay? So this report, transactions by tax rate report, allows you to review your BAS. So it allows you to go through all the transactions. So it's just at the top here, a little summary, transactions by tax rate. And it allows you to review all the GST transactions and what makes up your GST amount. I don't know how many times I get a phone call from someone and go, holy moly, my BAS is a bit high this quarter. And then we can go through this report with them and say, well, this is what your sales are, Mr. Smith. Okay, no worries. And this is what your expenses are, Mr. Smith. And they go, well, that looks about right. Well, that's what it is. You've made a lot of sales, or you've had less expenses, or whatever it may be, but we're able to clearly show that transparently through the transactions by tax detail report here. Also, make sure you check the GST free and BAS excluded to make sure that we haven't missed anything that normally would have GST on it. For example, here it's all GST on the no GST on wages, which is really quite good. Once we're happy with it, we scroll up, we go back to our summary, and we click finalize. Now, if we have it linked to the ATO, we can lodge from this screen. So that's your business activity statement lodged. And from there, you can make your payment as you would normally do using BPay, or get a refund into your bank account as you normally would have done it previously. So if I click finalize, next you'll need to file it with the ATO. I can't do that. It's finalized. The lodge button will come up and you're able to lodge it from there. For those of you who are on JobKeeper, Xero has done brilliantly with JobKeeper, okay? So it's got a whole lot of COVID resources essentially, but this one is really quite good because if you're on JobKeeper payments, it asks you for JobKeeper, for example, for April, for your turnover. So when you're doing a JobKeeper claim, it will ask you for your GST turnover for a period. So this little cool GST calculator here, GST turnover calculator, will actually tell you what your amount is, which is really quite good. So that is under, then we went back to here. There's a whole lot of ways you can get into it, but if you're an activity statement, come back, cash flow boost, and it will say here, it'll say calculate JobKeeper eligibility. So Xero is giving you heaps of prompts. So if you go check your eligibility, select your month. So we want to do March. We're on a cash basis. Our GST turnover is 8,800. And then it gives you the standard JobKeeper chat about 30% fall in turnover if your company is under $1 billion, etc., etc. Then gives you monthly reporting. So we can also then project our turnover for May from here as well. There's a whole heap of other COVID resources. So if you go to dashboard, and you'll see on the right hand side a Xero with a little love heart. And it gives you some very good resources with regards to, and it's not just about the numbers. There's some good stuff about running your business remotely, helping cash flow, business continuity planning, business continuity planning guides and templates. They're all very helpful, obviously, in this tough time that we're facing as well. The other reports that I like to get out of here, which are really quite good, is the profit and loss report. And we're able to customize this pretty heavily. So we can compare it to previous periods. We can change the dates to, obviously we're using a demo company, but we can change the dates a fair bit. We're able to also, the best thing about this one is with the Xero profit and losses, if you're running through this with your husband, your business partner, your wife, etc., etc., and they go, geez, sales are high this month, what we can do, we can click on the amount, and it takes us directly to the source data, which is really quite good. So anything in blue, we can click on, drill down, and interrogate. So, for example, I'll pick on my good friends at lawyers. Legal expenses were $4,000 this month. Holy moly. We can go into here, and we can go, oh, that's right, we paid this guy to do some legal work, etc., etc. So we are able to drill down, and that's our income as well from there. But we are able to drill down pretty heavily in our profit and loss. The other thing that we can do from here is we can export it to an Excel file if you want to muck around in Excel with it. That's with all the Xero reports. That's not just the profit and loss report. I'm not really a Google Sheets guy, but I do have some people that like Google Sheets. You can do that as well. We're able to save it down. So if we save it, we can publish it. What that means is that hard locks that report. So it hard locks it and it takes it into the published area. And that's just for a point in time reference if you ever need it from there. We're also able to edit our layout. So if you hit edit layout, we can move expenses into other income. We can shift this whole bit down to the bottom if we want to change the layout of it. Under net profit, we might want to put it just above net profit. We're able to, for example, cost of goods sold, we might want to include wages and salaries. So we can move it up the top. We can change the way our report looks and feels quite easily by going into the edit layout, having a bit of a play, clicking done. And we have wages and salaries in the cost of goods area. We have other income down the bottom, etc. So if you've come from a different accounting program and you're like, oh, the reports look different, everything's customizable pretty well. One last report before we get to all the questions is our aged receivables summary. And another one on after that. So this is just allowing us to have a look at what people owe us money and in what periods as well. Once again, we can drill down on this, which is a lot different to other programs. So we're able to drill down pretty easily and we're able to really go through and have a look and see who owes us money. For example, Pinnacle Management, we can go into their invoice. Oh, 10th of May, it's due on the 30th, so it's not overdue, it's current. But from there, we can then just email them a reminder to say, hey, here's your invoice, please pay it. And we can customize the email template as well. One report which we were asked about last time we were out and about was the income by contact report. So what we're able to do in these reports here, essentially, is we can, and I'll bring it up on the screen. If you want to know where your incomes come from certain people at what times, so it's something that we have a look here. Most businesses will want to know where their money's coming from and how much does each client spend with them on a monthly or a quarterly basis. So you're able to do this income by contact. And from here, we can see that Pinnacle Management spent $2,800 with us in the past 3 months, Ridgeway University, etc., etc. And we can also then export that into a PDF or an Excel document if we want to play around with it as well. So have a bit of a look through the reports. Don't be shy just to go for a bit of a gander and see what reports work for you, because different reports work for different people. Xero also came out with what was called a blank report. Now this is for the really advanced user, but you're able to, once you get into reporting, you can throw anything on a blank piece of paper, which is really quite good. So you can edit the layout. Oops. Create a report. Yeah, we can go in here. We can add it. There we go. We can add an account, so we can call it business account, and it gives us the details of where accounts are. Essentially, what the blank report is, it's a one-page report. So if you have a director or a business partner that wants to see everything on one page, sales, bank account balances, you name it, you can create that in the blank page report. So if I just do that, hopefully, it's not going to come up at the 30th of June 19. But if I change that to this month, this quarter, no, not working for me. But it is something you can have a bit of a play with and make it work from there. I've gone through Xero in a very quick nutshell in an hour. I've got a couple of questions and I'll answer those first. Can you do an annual reconciliation statement 2 through 0? Claire, what do you mean by that one? Sorry. Can I get a bit of, that's from Claire. What do you mean by annual reconciliation statement? You'll have to unmute. I can unmute you. Go.
That was when you were talking about the BAS statements. So, you know, when you, so it's the annual reconciliation statement with the ATO.
Yeah, so you want to do it annually, is that right?
Well, so we're on a 2 payments a year system where we do pay after the 3 quarters. They pay in April, the GST, and then again in July for the, and then we do an annual.
Yep.
Well, that's what we do most of the time anyway. Then do the annual reconciliation. So when you were just showing before what we could do, yeah, if you're having to do the reconciliation, annual reconciliation, can you do it through this?
Yep. So if you can see, you can see my screen,
Yep.
right? Yeah. Yep. So I'm just gone into activity statement into the settings, and if we click annual, that will give you your annual amount. If you go none and none, what that will give you is everything for the year. What it won't give you is the installments that you've paid. So you're going to have to manually take those ones off from there. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense. Yep.
But it gives you like I can understand where you're coming from. For example, in December, you might want to go, well, where's my BAS number at for the year? And how am I tracking in December and March? And along the way, we've got quite a few clients that keep an eye on this the whole time and go, well, how's my BAS tracking? How's it tracking? So you can set yours to annual and it will stay at annual, Claire, from there. And once you do that, then yeah, you're able to track that all the way through.
Right, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So if a client has 3 reporting entities,
Yes.
like a self-managed super fund, a partnership, and a company, can you have the 3 separate files set up? No, the 3 separate entities set up in the one file, or do you have a separate Xero file for each entity?
You have a separate Xero file for each entity. Yeah, it's a lot cleaner and a lot easier. So it is a little bit different to, for example, if you've got like a MyOp subscription, where it's like $50 for the subscription. Xero works on a per entity basis or a per file basis. So it is best to have it each individual file. Each individual entity have its own file.
So you have a separate login for each.
Yes, and you can easily flick. I won't flick it because it's going to come up with some client names on here.
Yeah.
But you hit this down arrow button here.
Yeah.
You can flick between the ones that you've got access to. Okay.
And will they be a separate tab at the top of the screen where you can skip back between them, or do you just use it with your drop-down menu and flick between them there?
Yeah, you can only have one open at a time, or you can open it in what's called incognito window, which is what I've got clicking here. So you can flick it between entities if you wish to. But most people will just click the down arrow here and just switch between organizations. So I can click change organization here.
Yeah,
okay. By doing that, it will then change the organizations which you have access to. So I've got access to all the Canar's Xero files, and all I do is just click change and then select the ones which I wish to.
No worries. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
You're right.
Peter, how do you give your employees access to be able to access their pay slips or to do timesheets? You're saying about if they have an app or what's you obviously don't want them accessing everything that you've got there, just their details. So
so what they have is they have a Xero employee login. So what you can do is if you got employees, I'm not quite sure if Sarah's on the line because she knows.
Yeah, I'm here.
How do you invite your employees into their Xero?
Yeah, so in the employee tab, I think there's a section there that says invite to.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, Xero Meet, or it's invite to Xero Payroll.
So Claire, if you've got this, so LeBron James, for example, here, you just go
Yep.
invite to my payroll.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they'll get an invite. So a couple of guys at work have it. So they get an invite and they're able to then create a Xero login, which will then give them access to their pay slip information and their time information only in Xero. Okay. But yeah, so if you go into this little thing here and go invite my payroll, that's where it's sitting there.
They can also use the app then to access their pay slips and things like that. So
yeah, the app's pretty handy. Like a lot of clients like the app. I had one client who needed it for a finance deal 2 weeks ago. We flicked in the pay slips because it was nice and quick, but then I've steered him on to using this and he thinks it's awesome. So a lot more clients will use that.
So if they've already set up, if they've got their own Xero for doing their own stuff, does that sort of make a difference or not?
Yeah, it will. They'll need a separate email address for it.
Yeah.
And a separate
They
login.
still do your invite, but they can use their app then that they use. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, using the app's probably the easier, but yeah, using it on a screen's also pretty handy at times too.
Yeah. All right. Thanks very much, Peter.
Oh, you're right.
And Sarah.
Anybody else got any burning Xero questions at all? If there's anything I haven't covered here tonight or this afternoon, feels like night time out the window. It's any other questions about Xero? Anything that's really grinding your gears, or it's you just can't quite get something?
That was a really good intro. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Just
Yeah.
there was back at the start there, when you're doing the bank rule.
Yep.
How do you so you set up your bank rule, so then it comes up green.
Yes, mate. Yep.
You can't attach then like a receipt invoice, like receipt evidence to that easily. Is there a way of doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, mate, I do. See here you can, with you go add details. So if it's, for example, on this screen here, I'll use this one here, Wit Curls. If you go add details here.
Yeah, when it's a bank rule, but I'm not sure that option comes up, does it?
if it's a bank rule, you can click don't apply rule. So it shouldn't be green. It should just be, I don't know if you've got one there, Pete.
So what you can do on the bank rule, or I just did it, then you can just still go view details on the bank rule. I've just messed that one up. But yeah, you can definitely go view details and add it from there in the bank rule.
Okay.
Hang on, I'll quickly make this bank rule up because it'll take 2 seconds. Central parking, no vehicle. Okay, save, hopefully this works. Contact. If you go to the bottom right corner of that tab, you're then able to, see how we got view details here, Cam?
Oh yeah, I see.
Yep. So click on that. It's already done all the hard work for you. We can then click on this little paper fold thing here, and then you're able to upload your file from there.
Yep.
Does it upload?
Okay. And what you can do is obviously you can flick it from an email. The other thing you can do is add it from a Xero library. So if you go add file to library, so add file from library, this is called a Xero library in here. And what you're able to do is, if I have a receipt, I just need to pull this down a bit. So your Xero library, where am I? So if I upload a file, I can upload, I'm just trying to think of a file here, this is easy. This one's Xero training agenda, that'll do. So I can upload that file. And that stays in there, and then I'm able to download it whenever I need to and open it. Now you can also send it from your Xero app on your phone straight into your file. So that just gives me those details there. But you're also able to send your receipt from your phone straight to your library, and then you can add it from your library into here as well, if you wish to. that make sense?
Yep.
I'll just try and really put them. Has anyone else got any questions? No. Cool, we've got a cat in the background
Oh, it's tea time.
there.
He reckons.
Sorry, Zoe, you're on mute.
Oh, right. No, he reckons it's tea time.
I was going to say it's a boring Zoom because on TV you always see naked partners walking in the background when don't do Zoom.
I was on a Zoom a couple of weeks ago, Zoe, and a good friend of mine, and her husband was in his job straight through the background, and not a pretty sight. Brilliant.
And Peter, my situation is different because I haven't used it at all, but I've been advised to do so. Is it very easy to transfer all the details that I've had over 15 years of Quicken and Reckon onto Xero and then do all the account coding and so on?
Yeah, so we try and make your account codes exactly the same, Zoe. So we don't change those at all because that Xero is really quite flexible in that whatever your codes are in Reckon, we don't change it.
I can just adopt those, okay.
Yeah, so that's the key, because what we don't want is different codes and different accounts and things like that. We can get a CSV file from your Reckon account and then import it into it. So we do keep a bit of the history as well if you want to, which can help out as well from there. So it's really quite flexible. It's a matter of we really customize the import process to you tell us what you want, then we just do it pretty much. Yeah, but it's quite flexible and not much gets lost, or nothing gets lost at all if you don't want it to. That's for sure.
Okay. And is that the same process with MyOb as well?
Yes, exactly the same. With MyOb, you can choose whether or not you can send over 1 year's worth of data. MyOb's a lot harder because MyOb rolls the file, so you can't go back in as far as you can't click on individual transactions. Reckon's different, Zoe, so Reckon you can do that. But MyOb, you can only go back into the previous financial year for balances, so it is a lot harder to actually then go back. With Xero, Xero's transactions stay in the file forever, okay? So you don't roll a period or anything like that. So if you have a sale back in 2010, you can still grab it from Xero. So it's important to know that. Whereas MyOb, it used to have to roll a period and get a backup and stuff like that.
Yeah, because what our plan is on the 1st of July, possibly go to Xero. So it may even be simpler, quicker and easier just to start with opening balances and a chart of accounts.
Yeah, most times with MyOb files it is because of you've just got to go and restore a backup to get old data anyway out of MyOb. So yeah, most of the time we do that. Sometimes we go back a year because people like to see that history, especially if you're in a shop and things like that. But yeah, you can't really go back much more than that with individual details anyway.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're all right. Very good. Anybody else? I might wrap it up. It's 5:45. It's nice and dark at my office here. The light's really taken effect out the window. So I hope you all have had a very informative, quick 1 hour run through of Xero. As I said in the intro, there's HubDoc in 2 weeks' time, and then Advanced Xero, which is if you already use Xero and you want to know how to get a lot more out of it, that'll be 2 weeks after that as well. So thank you very much for attending. These webinars have been really quite good. I've enjoyed them.
Thank you, Peter. That was great.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
And I
Thanks,
hope you all
Peter.
stay safe in the COVID environment that we have at the moment. I went, as I said, I went to Dingles on Monday or Tuesday. Was it Tuesday, Brent, was it? Dingles? And for those that know me well, I'm able to go to the pub on Friday for lunch. So I'm very happy with that. So
Getting back to normality.
oh yeah, kinda. Always. And Jeff Carlos, I know you may or may not have known Jeff, but he always went to lunch on a Friday as well. So different tables and that, but me and a couple of mates been going to lunch on a Friday for the last year and so we're going to enjoy that, I think. So but yeah, stay safe, and hopefully all your businesses are doing well or as well as they can be in this time. And yeah, look forward to hearing from you soon. There is a survey that we'll send around tomorrow. If you can fill that out, that would be much appreciated, just so we get a bit of feedback on where things are as well. Hey, so that'll be good.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Night.